Why would you want to be listening to generational healing that has to do with children? Because we all have a birth chart and we all were children. And a lot of what happens to us in that first 5 years of life stays with us for the rest of our life. And it's either loving, supportive, or not. I'm Catherine Bachman, astrologer, psychotherapist, and this is Generational Healing. Welcome, my beautiful friends. Thank you for those of you who are subscribed. I greatly appreciate it and good to see you again. Please don't forget to leave comments. And if you have ideas of interesting topics that you would like me to cover, please put those in the comment section as well. I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to those of you who are new to this channel. Welcome. And please subscribe, share my videos. My website is catherineastrology.com, and you can visit that. I do consultations, and I have a menu of consultations, but I also can custom design work with the birth chart, whether it's for individuals, families, couples, and or businesses. There's really no area of life that astrology can't speak to and give you information. I would like to share my vision with you, which is how do we raise a generation of children and commit to raising a generation of children that are raised in love and developmentally appropriate practices. And that information was a gift in the research of my generation, the Pluto Leo generation. I am going to be defining each of the generations. My first video covers Pluto and Aquarius babies that are being born at this time over the last year and a half. Who are they and what have they come in to do? And how do we love and support them in developmentally appropriate ways? So parent education, adult education is critical. And the period that we're moving into as we are in the process of birthing this new Aquarian age. It's like education for everyone is going to be critical because the truth is that it takes the village. Our soul work at this time as we are ending the Piscean age and launching, birthing the Aquarian age, which has the promise of 25,000 years of peace and balance and equality and fast-paced change, that we need to, at this time, truly be looking inside. What I want to do is go over, and I think I did it at the end of the last video, but give a little bit more information about Pluto Capricorn, Pluto Sagittarius, Pluto Scorpio, Pluto Libra, Pluto Virgo, Pluto Leo, Pluto Cancer, and even I'm going to include Pluto Gemini. That was from 1884 to 1914. There may be a few people of that generation still on the planet, but probably only a very small handful. But it will give us a bit of information. And why is it important? Pluto defines generation. I would also mention that it's not just Pluto, that all of the outer planets from Jupiter to Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all have generational qualities that when we are born, depending on the signs that all of the planets are in, that impacts and speaks to what we are here to do as a soul. Astrology is such a gift because, and it was given to us hundreds of thousands of years ago and has been demonized, and it is not of the devil. It is a very complex language that gives information to us and gives us hope. And it really tells us who we are. And this is why it's been demonized by many of the churches. That information is also going to come out in the coming years. between now and 2034, because we're in a 20-year process of Pluto transiting through Aquarius as we are moving into this new age. We are in a time of tremendous change. And for the next year, as Jupiter moves into Cancer, the cosmic Santa is exalted in Cancer. Jupiter really opens us up to spiritual education. And in the sign of Cancer, he's very benefic, very much, caring about the people, caring about emotion, caring about families, children, security, and that sort of thing. So for the next year, there's going to be a major re-education happening for the people and to help us, and a major focus for us in demanding that things will be stabilized. This month alone, we have 3 planets moving into new signs, and then we will move into Cancer. The sun goes into Cancer on June 20th. Having covered that a little bit, I would like to acknowledge another person. Doreen Trees 6000 asked me through one of those comments to address the spiritual life of young children in light of the astrology of this new era. Well, in order to move forward, so we can, yes, define who we all are based on this new era, but we need to understand who we have been as well. The key piece of what we're doing at this time is that we are to heal, as the Hopi have prophesied, 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. And every one of us, every adult on the planet, has to take responsibility for going inside. And that inner child is the one who holds the wounds, is the one who holds the fears, the anxieties, the hopes, and, wishes, and just wants to be free and playful and loving and to be loved and to be seen. This is a series that's also for the adults, and primarily for the adults, either whether you decide to have children or no, whether you have children, huge families, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. This is going to be a series that will help you to understand how critical it is that families and children are supported as we move forward. And it's like what has been coming to me in my life as well, in working with my own family and caretaking my mother through her death with cancer, is it comes down to being about basic respect, basic human respect, so that we stop allowing ourselves as humanity to be pitted against one group or another group. We have been fed so many lies through our media, through those that are in power and control, in order to control us. When we step out of that paradigm, it's really good to have a place to go, right? When we begin to feel isolated and alone and the world is going to hell in a handbasket, to know that every generation since this Gemini generation, the Pluto Cancer generation, every generation has come in with their light workers, their healers, their souls that have come in to commit to healing and moving us more toward this time period. And this time period, there are more healers and astrologers. We're in America and we have Western medicine, and it totally blocks out, does not recognize, or much less, very little tolerance for naturopaths and homeopaths and Reiki, healers, osteopaths, homeopaths. There are millions of psychotherapists and spiritual healers on the planet at this time. Many of us are connecting through YouTube. So as we move forward and doing this work, you are not alone. And each and every one of us are a divine spark of the creator, of the cosmos. And we are entering a time where we will either heal and transform and bring love and balance. And it doesn't take 100% of the people on the planet to make that shift into this new energy. It takes a preponderance. It takes what we call the 100th monkey syndrome, when enough of the population hold these values and come together. And that's why our moving out into the streets are collectively and all across the world protesting and saying, no, we don't want this. So this is why this period is so powerful. In order to make it easier, in order to be able to fully heal and embrace our unique purpose on the planet at this time for the adults, it's really important to know that you are not alone and that you are love and you are loved and you have a unique piece to add to the collective in this healing and ascension process into a new humanity and a new earth. The earth is suffering because of the abuses of the past couple thousand years, right? The earth will heal herself. If we don't make that transition, humanity is not going to be here. So this is why it's so critical. My piece to share with you is that it takes the village, and let's heal the inner child within. And then let's also learn, how do we heal our children? 7 generations forward and back piece becomes very important, because when we do our healing work, when we connect with others in community, it elevates and increases the power of this love, of this truth, of this way of being in life. Let's talk about the generations. So I did the last video on Pluto Aquarius. Those babies were born, there was 1 month in 23, I think it was March, that Pluto dipped its toe into Aquarian energy and then retrograded back to Capricorn. He was in Aquarius for 9 months, the first from January until right after our 2024 election. I think it was November 19th that he moved back into Aquarius. So for those of you who are astrology students, the 29th degree is one of the most intense and potent degrees. And the 29th degree of Capricorn, Pluto had moved direct mid-October. I think it was the 10th of October, 2024, before the election, and was there until November 19th when as he was going direct, moved back into Aquarius. So intense period of time in 2024. And we are living with the consequences of the dark side of Pluto moving into Aquarius, which is about the manipulation of electronics, technology, etc. So the old guard decided they're not ready to let go of power, money, and corruption, obviously, but it's not sustainable. It's just not. So these guys will be born from 2023 to 2044. And they are going to be the scientists. Those babies will be in contact and working with our galactic brothers and sisters in dream time, with each other in dream time. They're brilliant. They will be brilliant. They will be light beings and very powerful in the healing and transformation. Even as small children, they will be unique and far out. For those of us lived through the 60s, far out, man. They will be far out and take and need our acceptance and love and support for their uniqueness, their eccentricities. Sorry, I tripped over the word. They are a generation that when they come into their I think really truly through their whole lives, but as they come into adulthood, they will be great leaders in the fast-paced change related to our collective humanity, and being able to be loved, supported, accepted, connecting with the ETs and working with them, and the very, very fast-paced healing of the planet. I think by that point in time, money may be obsolete, and we are living in a totally different world. But it has to be based on love. It can't be this dystopian, where there's a small gaggle of billionaires that want to suppress and enslave us again. Never going to happen again. Never. Pluto Aquarius children will be very, very special and very powerful in the healing and transformation of the planet. Pluto Capricorn are babies that were born from 2008 through 2023. And then that little small group that were born from August, September through right after, up to November 19th, 2024. So these will be the Pluto Capricorn children. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It's very karmic that they are here to begin to heal the earth. So as children, they came in and were very quiet, or not very quiet. I had a Capricorn son, and there were times when he was like really enraged at what was going on in the world as a baby. He also had health issues that created a lot of pain. And so even from the hospital, he was brought to me early. It's like he's waking up all the other 20 some odd babies. And the Capricorn energy, very, very karmic. These babies would be very pulled back, reserved, not quite trusting what was going on around them, but seeing that business and hard work, and that would create a great deal of freedom for them. So they are leaders. We have many of the Leo generation that's in office now that have very strong Saturn, either because they wanted to come in and create balance in the world, or because they wanted to be in power and control. Capricorn energy, as these children grow and move into their adult life, will be very much about a new type of leadership, because we're going to be in Pluto Aquarius, right? So their leadership is going to be, how do we do government that is of consensus, that is fair, that is humane, that is really being the stewards of the earth. As again, the native tribes, Aboriginal tribes all around the world know that our mandate as humanity is to love and respect, there's that word again, the earth, to not poison it, to be in great appreciation. We have the Garden of Eden here. Why do we need to go to other planets? Why don't we heal the damage we've done here? And so they're going to be very powerful in creating new forms of business, new ways of doing things, and a new kind of leadership. Saturn's in Aries right now, so they're getting a lot of inklings and lessons. Again, they were born 2008 to this last year, 2023, 2024. They are fully intuitive in nature as well, and feeling the out of balance, how out of balance our planet is, and business, unregulated capitalism is a disaster. There's no trickle down. And you can see the final output of that when governments and leadership can be bought and corrupted, then these people amass billions and trillions of dollars gleefully. It's very, very sad what we're watching. These children are also watching it, and they're going, oh no, we need to do leadership and business in a sustainable and fair way. So that's going to be their message. Pluto Sagittarius. These babies were born 1995 to 2008. Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, cosmic Santa, but also Sagittarian energies are very much about truth and justice and exploration. And most Sages themselves are very adventurous. They're very curious. They have to understand. And I mean, many of them have advanced degrees and are lifelong students. And then teachers, master teachers. But there's a connection with Sagittarius, not just to sports and fitness and travel. And, if they can't physically travel, they travel with their minds. They do research. But they also love to have fun. They love to have fun. And so this energy, very fiery, passionate, and also can be once they decide as adults, once they decide, and as a result of injustices in their childhoods, they, can have very powerful visions of how the world should be. And they can be very, very spiritual or religious, and they will fiercely defend their ideas, their values. One of the things I say about Sagittarius, all the signs have the upside, the good side, and the lower vibration. I'm a Taurus, and I can give you quite the range of those, energies as well. But with Sagittarius, it's like they research and research, and they have the truth. And unfortunately, they believe they have the only truth at times. So one of the lessons for Sagittarian energy is to truly listen to other people. And there may be an unlimited number of truths on any subject that's out there. So these guys are going to, once they move into their adult program, and especially around for all of us, when we reach that first Saturn return. Saturn has to go 2.5 years through every house, and it takes about 27 to 30 years for us to move into our first Saturn return, where he starts the cycle over based on where Saturn, which is our karmic work, our teacher or taskmaster. So when we come into that Saturn return, we are looking at our life going, oh wait, who am I now? And I've been living my life according to my family of origin values and rules, and my community values and rules, and my society and country values and rules, and global rules. And I don't know if that's who I really am. So Sagittarius will be very much stepping also into leadership during this, as fire signs, leaderships. And they will be the PhDs and the teachers, the spiritual teachers. And I do believe they are going to bring in a new spirituality, because as we go through this period of time where the abuses of the churches and the truth of who we are comes out, people are going to, and I would just predict this, that people will be leaving those doctrines and moving into more of a cosmic spirituality. Our brains are going to be blown a little bit in the next few years. That's what they come in to do. They have a love of large animals. Many of these people, as part of their adventure, is to have horses and to, and just a love of nature, a love of animals. They absolutely have to be out in the country, hiking trails, and again, lots and lots of travel. So that's that generation. Our Pluto Scorpio generation. Pluto is when he travels in his own sign. It is the shortest. He has an elliptical orbit in the solar system. And thank God, when he is in his own sign, it is the shortest period of time. So he was in Scorpio from 1984 to 1995. So 11 years, thank God. And then on the flip side of it, I'm a Taurus, and I won't be experiencing Pluto going through my own sign, but that's the longest period of time he is in a sign, will be when he's in Pluto in Taurus. So there'll be generations coming up that'll live through that, but that's far enough in the future. We don't have to worry about it. So Pluto, Scorpio energy is, and his energy, Pluto's energy, wherever it is in our chart, it is about transformation, getting to the core truth, like on a DNA level. And it is about power, money, and sexuality. And during the Pluto in Scorpio generation was when AIDS was discovered or hit the planet, hit the populations. And the atomic bombs were proliferating, power, where we, for the first time, it entered human consciousness that we actually could destroy humanity. We could destroy ourselves. We could destroy the planet. So the Pluto Scorpio generation was, takes those things pretty seriously. They're a very intense generation. I have a couple of grandchildren born during this period of time, and they are powerful healers and transformers. They can smell a manipulation, a lie manipulation a mile away, won't tolerate it. They don't tolerate the abuse. And so abuses of any kind will be their target as they have moved into their lives, adult lives at this point in time. And heal and transform all of those areas. Heal and transform how you do power in relationships or in relationship to anything. And courageously, fearlessly fight for what is right and the truth in all things. One of the things that was what's wanting to come out. Thank you. One of the things that Pluto in Scorpio is also to do is has to do with money, power, money, and sexuality. So right use of power and money, and those are going to be areas where they will go into banking and or how do we manage relationships, power over. They do not like to be told what to do, what to think, how to be. They are going to be pioneers in kind of blazing their own trails. As babies, the Pluto Scorpio generation is they're very serious. They can be happy, but they're pretty serious, and they're so hyper alert, at watching what's going on around them and learning from them. Pluto and Libra generation. This is my son's generation from 1971 to 1984. As babies, they were very happy as long as they were with lots of people. And if things are out of balance, they were not happy. And so that would be very, very challenging, but curious, and love to be around other children, love to be around adults, and literally would hang out with adults to learn what they could about the world, even as children, and particularly in school. This is the generation that is here to heal relationships and relationships with each other, marriages, and they are, as a result of our generation, their parents, the Pluto Leo generation, which were pretty, highly divorced generation, that created a lot of trauma for our children. If we didn't try to work through those energies with our children, then those are traumas that they are having to heal in their life and having to heal through relationships. So one of the qualities of the Pluto Libra generation is to not, they either will work like to really totally understand and keep balance, create balance. So communication is really, really important. Libra is also ruled by Venus. So, love is important to them, and respect are very important to them. This is an important period of time to be able for this generation to bring their gifts forward. They are in the world. They're in their 40s now, and they are in leadership, and they have worked and will work very hard to try to create balance, to be in respect of if they are employers, in respect of employees. And, of course, there's distortions, and there's that low end of that energy and the high end of the energy that generation is working through. Pluto Virgo generation, I think I mentioned this last time, and I remember that I did go through this. I just wanted to deepen it a little bit because I went through it very, very quickly in the last video. Pluto Virgo generation, 1957 to 71, and that's our health generation, and our workers, our people who are focused on doing practical application, practical work. There are artists and people who actually build things. They build homes. There are builders. They build homes and furniture and functional, very functional kinds of things. They are also the ones that developed supplements and food companies, healing arts, they went into how do we work with the physical body, and, really became massage therapists or chiropractors. And, that generation really worked. And as babies, they came in, and many of them with health issues that they had to overcome. And so they researched and worked very hard to build up their immune systems. And that's when a lot of the fitness clubs came out, and people would sign and go work with the weights and do the running thing. Jim Fixx was a person who kind of championed running for heart health. So this is a generation that, are in their 50s at this point in time, 50s and early 60s. Health and healing and doctors and, becoming anything related to and from, as an earth sign, practical application. So the Virgo energy is very much about how do we heal? How do we heal the planet? How do we heal ourselves? How do we heal, the critters? And looking at ways in which to do that. The Pluto Leo generation, born from it's a fairly large generation, 1938 to 1957. As, again, as babies, the fire signs, as children and babies, we can be like just glowing and happy, or or very willful. It's like, I'm not getting my needs met, and I'm not happy about it, and I'll let you know. Not necessarily the easiest generation to come in, but our parents were the Pluto Cancer generation. So Pluto Leo, here to learn about right use of power, money, and sexuality. The Leo energy can be a bit over the top, but Leo energy is leadership. It's the benevolent king or queen. It can also be the mad king or queen. So those energies, I think we're seeing that in our government at this point in time. And yes, unfortunately, it's all about me and their wealth and their, in our government, entitlement, but not so much. More of the entitlement comes, from the upper classes, that they believe that, if they were smart enough to get rich, then it's like the rest of us are just not smart enough to get rich. What's wrong with you? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. These are energies that can be, that's more of the distortion of my generation, the Pluto Leo. The gifts of our generation also have to do with, we really needed to understand. We watched so much abuse in our parents' generation of women and children, and it's so we have been very driven to understand. I remember as a child just going, I wish someone would give me the rule book. Okay, God, can you give me the rule book, because I want to be a good little girl, I don't understand what the rules are. That's what happens when you're in a family that a very unhealthy alcoholic or rageaholic kind of family. My father was not the alcoholic, but he was a rageaholic, and he was military. And at that time in our history, women and children were property of our fathers and our husbands. We had to understand, and many of us, particularly the women, once we did receive some rights, and the right to vote, and the right to have property, and the right to have our own money and our own checking account, then, we became empowered. And so as we became empowered, we did work with our partners to see if, can we heal this? Can we find some more balance in this relationship? And if they wouldn't or didn't, then many women would divorce. Pluto, Leo, we filled our libraries full of depth psychology and self-help books. And so those are the gifts, of healing transformation. Those are the evidence that as a generation, many of us have worked with these energies in our lives. And as that generation, come to healing and balance in our lives. And once you get to that point, life is good. Doesn't matter what's going on around you. Life is good. And you can not only survive, you can thrive. Pluto Cancer generation. This is our parents, my parents' generation. And they were born 1914 to 1938. So they went through a lot. They went through the Depression, a lot of wars. Families were broken apart and destroyed. Many were agricultural. Many still lived in the country, not so many as it is today in the big cities. So they would be farmers and ranchers, and large families, this is before birth control. Large families happen. Family and their children were an integral part of survival in that generation. So they had to go through healing of a patriarchal system as well. The Pluto Gemini generation was born 1984 to 1914. 1884 to 1914. I think my grandmother was born in 1914. So the Gemini energy was like, there was so much information that was going on. Gemini is an air sign. And so they were to learn, and education was not truly available. So they had to seek out and search for and really rely much more on their intuition. Rely much more on connection with nature to come into their own ideas, their own knowledge and information. Most of them had maybe an 8th grade education, if that much. But because many of them had to, for survival, work their farms and ranches with the family for the families to be sustainable. This month is going to be a very powerful month of shifts and changes. We have Jupiter going into Cancer, where he's exalted. Mars going into Virgo. Oh, Jupiter goes into Cancer on the 9th, so coming up this next week. Mars goes into Virgo. And so Mars in Virgo on the 17th moves us into the energy of, oh my goodness, we need to pay attention practically, get into really a very practical place with that grounded, practical earth sign. He'll be in Virgo for a couple of months, moving into August, I believe, is when he goes into Leo. Not Leo, Libra, sorry. Mars is how we take action. And so his moving after he was in Cancer for so long last year, and then very, a slow move through Leo, he'll go through Virgo and help to ground us, move us into whatever actions we're taking are going to be very grounded and practical. Mercury goes into Leo on the 26th of June. And the sun, we have solstice. The sun goes into Cancer on June 20th. The sun goes into Cancer first on June 20th. Then Mercury goes into Leo on the 26th. So Mercury is communication, and people are going to be even more as information comes out, and there's so much that's going to happen. It's a little quiet this week. We're starting to get information. We're starting to be notified that we're going to get information, life-altering information about what's been going on in our world and in our country, particularly. Major changes coming up, particularly the second half of June. So this energy very much says it's time for us to look inside, and who are we now? And as much as we can, we'll need to be moving into how do we take care of that inner child. That some of the information can be so shocking it puts us into fear, and the last thing that we want and need to do is to go into fear. As we move into these energies, it's like the more that we can let go that, of the past and how things used to be, because we're never going to go back there. And to be the curious child, if we can know that we are safe, know that we are loved, know that we are a collective of people, we just are not alone. There are millions and millions and millions. The majority of the planet are awake and aware and are supportive or not supportive of what's going on now in our world, and that are demanding that this stuff stops, and that those who are perpetuating it are held accountable. So we're about to enter in the disclosure and release of information that will confirm what we have felt in our guts since over many years for some of us, but definitely since the last election. This information will come out, and then, then we're going to have to hold strong. We're going to have to, probably each and every one of us, get out on the streets. Knowing that's coming up in the next 3-4 months, going into September, I think we'll start to stabilize in September with the eclipses again. As we move into the next round of eclipses, this is closure and completion of what was triggered in March of this year with the eclipses, and then the super full moons and powerful energies that have been on the planet that, the next few months, particularly this month, July, and moving into August, there's going to be tremendous change coming in, awake and aware. Just know that we are safe. Know that, when your little inner child starts to have trouble breathing or feeling like you're constricting or whatever, it's important to talk to that child and say, you know what, we're going to be okay. Let's go do something fun. My vision for this time is for us to really and truly, embrace and to take care of ourselves and to know, again, we are not alone. Alrighty, I think I will wrap this up, and then I'll go into more what is developmentally appropriate, particularly in that first few months of life. I want to start doing the developmentally appropriate age and stage package. And also, I'm going to be, I have to figure out how to do this. Sorry about that. I'm not really a techie, but we need tech to be able to do this. But I would like to do inner child meditation. And I'm going to set that for several months out in order to have enough people so I can advertise it and then do a Zoom guided meditation on getting in touch with your inner child. You may have local resources for that, local practitioners and psychotherapists or healers that do that work as well. Please tap into the local businesses, for healing practices as well. Support the alternative healers. They actually are going to be the ones that are elevated when this starts to totally implode. And it's time. What's going on with the healthcare in this country? It's not healthcare. It's disease management for profit. And the majority of the medicines are not medicines. They're toxic drugs that can be patented. And our Congress has been involved in investing in that because they've been doing insider trading for decades. Natural remedies are going to be so critical. So it is a time of moving into more personal responsibility. And I will be doing a video probably later this week on my healing journey as a stage 3 and then stage 4 metastatic breast cancer patient. I have not done traditional medicine. I didn't do chemo or radiation. I did nutritional and detox and meditation, all kinds of things. And I want to share that story with you. It's very frightening when we've been told we have to do chemo, we have to do radiation, or we're going to die. Well, dying, we've been made to fear dying, number one. But actually, I never lost my hair. I felt and was able to work most of the time. There were challenges and complications, but I'll go into that in another video because I think this is going to be another piece that is important. We need to support our naturopaths and homeopaths and osteopaths and functional medicine doctors and those who have spent years and years and years more in truly learning about how nature can heal us and how we can heal ourselves. I am an ardent follower of Dr. Joe Dispenza as well. And I went to the advanced training in Denver, Colorado last July 2024. Powerful, powerful, powerful. So as we are learning to heal ourselves, to tap into our own body, to listen to our own intuition, and to connect with others who hold those value systems, because we've been, I would suspect, because I know I was born and raised in Texas in the military and all that, and my family literally wanted to kidnap me and put me through a deprogramming program because I had gotten into astrology in my 30s. Most of us have had to live on the edges of society and been, blocked, frustrated, and denigrated by those in power. And so it's important that as we have healed all of that stuff and truly know who we are, that we began to offer our gifts to humanity. And I do see Pluto Aquarius being energy healing and natural healing, making that will be the big comeback. If I'm in an accident and I need to go have, fingers put back on or limbs, set in, Western medicine has its place. But surgeons and those that have the are able to do the microsurgeries, those kinds of things have their place. But it's so far out of balance and so all about the money at this point that the majority of people can't access it anyway. We did do a bit of meandering today. Again, I will start moving into what are developmentally appropriate practices and how can we learn and implement them with new babies and our children, our grandchildren, but also in working with our own inner child, because a lot of this, is about, as a psychotherapist, and we go into a meditative state to get in touch with our inner child. It's like they have information to share with us. Most of what's going on with them are unconscious patterns that kind of mess up our lives. And so these kids inside of us need some attention. And we can begin to be that healthy parent for them that they didn't have. Be the parent that can soothe them and help them to heal and understand, and that they are not alone. So go do something fun. Take care of yourselves. Do some breathing. Do not tap into what's going on. If you do listen to the news, be very discerning. And also listen from a detached place, just to know kind of where things are. Much love. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you soon.